And now to the escalating legal battle between Florida and the federal government. There are now dueling lawsuits over Governor Rick Scott's effort to purge the state of suspected ineligible voters. Now, the Justice Department filed a lawsuit to stop the purge after Florida sued for access to a Homeland Security database. Now, Florida officials initially said they were examining about 180,000 potential non-citizens or non-citizen voters, and about 2,700 of them have been to produce proof of citizenship. State records show 86 non-citizens have been found on these voter rolls so far. Here's what Governor Scott had to say.
We want to make sure that our voters get to vote, but non-U.S. citizens don't vote. It's simple.
And joining me now is Judith Browne Dianis. She's a co-director of the Advancement Project, a civil rights organization. Thank you, Judith, for your time.
Thank you for having me.
So the bottom line, Rick Scott says we want to make sure that our voters are people who are eligible to vote here. Now you've got this showdown of lawsuits. What is the argument against what he is saying? I mean, obviously, we've been covering this. This is not the only state. Florida is one of many where we have seen what Democrats and many others describe as very suspicious actions being taken right before November.
Right. Well, it's important to understand that this right now is a showdown around democracy issues. What the governor has decided to do is to violate federal law. Federal law says you cannot purge people this close before an election. And so you have the governor on one side saying he doesn't care what federal law says. And then you have the United States government on the other side saying that they are going to stand up for the right to vote. And it's also important to put this in context. We are talking about what the state is going to do is burden citizens. They have put citizens on this list. We had the 91-year-old World War II veteran who is a citizen of the United States, born in Brooklyn, New York, who was on this list. So the list is wrong, but the governor doesn't care because we know that this is more about voter suppression and making sure that particular groups do not vote.
Let me play what Governor Scott also had to say regarding these two lawsuits. Let's play it, please.
I've asked for the database, which we're entitled to from Homeland Security, to help us make sure that non-U.S. citizens are not on our voter rolls. And they haven't given it to us for nearly 9 months. And now Justice is saying we're doing something wrong. This is not a partisan issue. This is Republican, Democrat, Independent. This is protecting the rights of U.S. citizens and not diluting their vote by non-U.S. citizens.
Judith, do you believe this is a partisan issue?
You know, he's making it a partisan issue.
In what way?
Because he's going after voters. And when you look at this list, 87% of the people on this list are voters of color. About 60% of them are Latino voters. And, you know, this cannot be divorced from the voter ID laws that were passed and other bills that the Republicans have been passing in states to make it harder to register to vote. But he is right. This should not be about right or left, Republican or Democrat. He should stop. He should be on the side of United States citizens and pull back from violating federal law and purging voters.
Now, he also claims that about 100 non-citizens have been found so far on these voter rolls, including more than 50 who've voted in recent elections. Those are some of the numbers from their side of the argument, the state's side of the argument. The Miami Herald, to your point, though, points out almost 87% of those on the list of suspected ineligible voters are Hispanic or blacks.
And what's important to know is that the Department of Justice, in its letter to the state, said if there are non-citizens on the list, there are laws already in place to make sure that they are prosecuted. And they actually said, refer those cases to us. We'll take them to the United States Attorney's Office. But the bottom line is, don't burden U.S. citizens who want to participate in this election just for your partisan gain, Governor Scott. And at the end of the day, people should be allowed to vote. Instead of making it harder to register and harder to vote, we need to make it easier so that we have as much participation as possible.
Judith, thank you so much for your time. I greatly appreciate you joining the News Nation.